Hello, my name is Elijah Hunt Rhodes, and ever since I was a child, I have always wanted to enlist the Army. But little did I know that would change in just a matter of seconds. One day, we would receive a letter, and to everybody's shock, my father had passed. We were all devastated, but I knew I would take over his responsibilities due to me being the oldest of my other two siblings. I had to drop out of school. I had to get multiple jobs. I had to maintain a stable household while also providing for my family so my siblings could have a normal life. But once I hit the age of 19, one day I would ask my mother if I could enlist in the Army. But little did I know, she wouldn't be pleased with that idea. She tried constantly to change my mind, but I had always had my mind set on this, and she wouldn't change it. I told her, "Mother, this has been my dream ever since I was a child. I have always wanted to enlist in the Army, but since the passing of father, I had always had to provide for this family. I dropped out of of school. I have always thought about the well-being of this family, and I really never thought about myself. And the one time I want to think about myself, you don't let me." With that, I went to enlist, and that day I became a private in the Rhode Island Volunteers. Life during the war. Life during the war was going fantastic. I had just enlisted in the Army with my mother's consent, and the same year I was able to be promoted all the way to being one of the leaders of the regiments. But once I hit the age of 20, I took part in the Battle of Williamsburg. We would be camped out for a couple of days, and then one day we received news of the evacuation of Yorktown. We were ordered to camp at Young Farms and join the main army. We would cross the river and be camped there until midnight in a deserted rebel camp. Once we started moving in, we saw many divisions under fire. We were placed, but as reserves, and we didn't have a main role in the battle. I would find some documents of the garrison, and this field was just horrid. Just in a couple of seconds, I was easily able to count 60 dead bodies. Not just the opposing people, but also our people. But later, we would be chasing out the rebels, and with our cavalry in pursuit, many prisoners are sent to prison. And thank God for this victory. And so the war can end. Another day, in May 11th, 62, we were ambushed. We had lost 3 people, and they brought back a number of prisoners. We would follow them and wait for our orders, but we would end up starving, most of us at least. But I believe since it was for the Union, I would not complain. August 24th, 1862. We would be encamped really close and near to Yorktown. We first went to a fortress, but we all feared that there was no end to this war. We entered through a gate in the fort built upon a bluff. We marched to our old lines, where we saw batteries for heavy guns and mortars. There were many guns, and someone there told us that our shells from a gun that we had played a tune like a fiddle. We passed through many old camps and then encamped near the river. August 31st, 1862. We had just arrived at Alexandria from a pleasant sail from Yorktown. We learned of a battle fought really close to here. We landed in the march of the direction of the old Bull Run ground, where we understand our forces have met the enemy. Today, we passed through Fairfax Courthouse and formed a line of battle at Germantown. It seemed as if nature was trying to outdo us as it was pouring heavy rain. And since the rain wouldn't let us fire our cannons, we had to retreat. September 23rd, 1862. On the 17th, we saw the Battle of Antietam, fought almost at our feet. We could see both rebel and Union soldiers, roars from the field, trains of wagons moving all day and night. We arrived and went into a camp. We were put on the front lines the next morning. There was many of dead bodies, many both rebel and Union sided. I have never seen that many bodies at once. Towards the end of the fight, we had halted. Several were killed in the division and many wounded. We had found out the next morning that the rebels had recrossed over the river and had escaped. We didn't want to attack them, so we just let them go, and without a doubt in the world, we let them go. Life after war. Life after war would be a good one for me. I would be honorably discharged, having served with the Army for 4 years and 2 months. After I was honorably discharged, I would receive many military honors. Some of, like, Assistant Adjutant General of the Department of Rhode Island, in 1871, and also Senior Vice Commander-in-Chief of the Grand Army of the Republic. Just a year later, I would receive one of the many blessings in my life. I would marry the love of my life, Caroline, and together we would have two children named Frederick Miller Rhodes and Alice Caroline Rhodes.